Hey, everybody, good evening. It is Dr. Angela Kudger, and I am here again with Taima Aziz Sarwa. And we are going to be continuing the Satisfying Self Love series. And tonight is all about soul care. Taima, I am so excited to have this conversation, right? Um,
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, we've had some really insightful exchanges about this satisfying self-love journey, and I'm just ecstatic to really kind of jump into soul care tonight, because I think that soul care is a huge part of our self-care. But soul care, every single time we think about what we want to do and how we want to be and whether we want to step up and shine, it's us digging deep into our soul and making sure that we're giving ourselves that permission, and everything that we do has to come from this deserving place. So as soon as you guys jump on here, let us know you can hear us, let us know you can see us, and we're going to dive into this. Valine says hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello, ladies, good evening, good evening. So be sure to share this out so that other people can actually get this information. So Tama, I want you to share the deck that you're using and the card that you pulled for tonight.
Yeah. So, greetings, everybody. We are back bringing some more power to you. And I was sharing with Angela that I had just purchased a new affirmation card deck, and it's called I Am Everything. Know if y'all can see that. And I said, I really felt compelled to pull a card for tonight. So, the affirmation card says, I am love. Mm. I am love. I may not have always made the right choices, but I have done my best. I have so much love to give, and everyone around me can feel it. I am given a clean slate every single day to be the best version of me that I can be. I am forgiven. I am love.
I
If you
absolutely.
are loved, there can be no deficit of love in your life.
Yeah.
There can be no shortage. So
Yeah.
I hope that that really resonates. You can breathe that in whenever you're working with affirmations. Just pay attention to where you feel the words going in your body, because that will tell you what you need to work on and where you're having some blockages. But yes, not only are you loved, but you are love. How about
Mhm.
that?
Mhm. And and this isn't that a beautiful thing though?
It
Like, it
is.
squarely puts us in the space of every day when the slate gets wiped clean, we deserve the absolute best. We
Mhm,
get to reset everything we feel like we deserve. We get to reset who we invite into our space, who complies
mhm,
with that, right? We get to
mhm.
detach from who doesn't comply with that, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a conversation that definitely has to be had. I think a lot of times people are not able to dig as deep into their soul care because in many cases they get stuck into this place of deserving, or they attach themselves to people and situations that make them question how great they are, that make them question whether they deserve a certain kind of love, a certain kind of life,
Mhm.
right? A certain kind of livelihood. And all of those things have to do with soul care.
Yes.
Soul care.
So
And
this
so,
is where it becomes important to reevaluate your criteria for who has access to you. Because you're absolutely correct when you say that sometimes who you allow to be in your, what my good friend Sharon Jameson says, you have a circle of people and then you have your core group. And your core group is only really 2 to 3 people. But those 2 to 3 people really do influence how you see yourself.
yep.
And are your relationships nourishing? And if they're not, you have to really look at the genesis of those relationships and figure out what vibration you were in when you created them. That you would find yourself surrounded by people who don't see the true nature of you.
Yeah.
So that is self-care.
Mm-hmm.
for your soul. Like that's soul care because
Mm-hmm.
you really need that kind of foundation. You need relationships. You need people that can mirror to you the truth of who you are
Yeah.
and love on you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's important.
And being in that truth allows that person to then radiate out what they're wanting to bring more of in, right?
Mhm.
They get to, put out into the ethers and put out into the world. This is what I require. This is what I deserve. This is where I am on my journey, and begin to call that into them. I know, at least for me, I wasn't able to begin to attract in a certain caliber of person until I radiated that, right? There,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
lived or leaned into this vibrational readiness to bring that in, right?
Mhm.
um and it's just been an amazing journey, and then understanding that that journey never really stops, right?
Right. Right. Because here's the reality: we all as human beings want love
Yeah.
in its purest form, right? It's just an impulse. It's a natural inclination.
Yeah.
But it is the ego's job to convince us that love is dangerous
Mm.
and risky and unavailable.
Mhm.
But the greatest miracle you can ever experience is to see the truth of yourself, see yourself as you really are. If you are love, then the question no longer is how do I get love in my life?
Yep.
How do I get people to love me? The question is how do I be who I say I am?
Mhm.
If I say I am love, how do I show up as that? What is my demonstration of that? And
Mhm.
if you can be authentic to the truth of who you are, that has a direct impact on the kind of people that are even attracted to you and want to be in your
Mhm.
life. I really want us to think about the ways in which we deceive ourselves.
Mm.
I had another conversation with another tribal woman this morning on their motivational call, and I was defining the difference between rights and privileges,
Mm.
and how so often we want external recognition
Yeah.
of our value and who we are. But when you look in the mirror, do you see your value? And then
Mhm.
before you participate in the collective revolution, have you had your personal revolution?
Yes.
Do you know who you are? So it's important that we become what we're looking for
Mhm.
in relationships.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
what.
that's the formula to get what you want.
Mhm. Absolutely. The question is always, so I think that there's always a space for checks and balances.
Yes.
Um, and I and to me, that happens when the ego dies, when there's less judgment, right? And that person should, one of those things should always be, am I what I require? Am I
Yeah.
bringing this same thing to the table? And if not, if the answer is no, then how do I become that? Right? Because
Mhm.
becoming that is what radiates it out and brings more of it back into us. And it's a really a beautiful and divine flow that none of us can ever really get wrong. Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that I think that's the good thing about it. For me, like historically, relationships, not just in love, but also in friendships, right, have
Yes.
always been the thing that kind of was an enigma to me. Like, how do these work?
Mhm.
Why do people walk away from them? All of these different questions would come up around it. But along my own journey, when ego
Mhm.
died, right, it was more like it's easier for me to just stay in the flow and then allow those things to come in. It's a lot. I found it was a lot less work, lot less having to think, too much about it. It was, let me flow and allow these things to be attracted to me, right? Let me
Mhm.
align instead of grind, right?
Right. Right. And I love what you bring up about like what is keeping the flow of love from happening. That's a very important question. It's a very valid question. I believe there are only two paths in life: love or fear.
Hmm.
right?
And we're choosing every day.
We choose every moment,
Every
actually.
moment, every
You know,
decision we make.
look, we getting riled up. Like, you rocking, I'm rocking. we stirring it up right now. One of my favorite teachers, Florence Scovel Shin, she says that there are three different parts of your mind. You have your subconscious mind, which is power without direction.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your conscious mind, which is your day-to-day functioning mind, the part of you that knows how to drive to work and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have
Mm-hmm.
then you have your super consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
which she describes as your divine mind. Now connect these dots, because another powerful teacher says, Harville Hendrix, in his book, Getting the Love You Want, that every human being on the planet chooses their partner through their subconscious mind, because they
Mm-hmm.
think that their partner can be a surrogate parent to their childhood wounds. Just sit with
Mm-hmm.
that for a second. Just sit with that for a second, because some of
No,
you listening,
say that
you
again.
swore you was never going to get with your daddy, and you sure did. Some of you swore you would never get anybody like your mama, and here you go. Again, Harville Hendrix says in his book, Getting the Love You Want, that every human being chooses a mate through their subconscious mind,
Yep.
the part of your mind that is power without direction,
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking for a surrogate parent to your childhood wounds.
That's deep. That's deep. That's
Listen,
deep.
when I read that, Angela, I put that book down for 4 months, because I flipped ahead, right? I flipped ahead. I said, so is he going to tell me how to not do that? Okay.
Ayahuasca.
Don't nobody want to do that. Nobody got time for that. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
And it was so compelling to me that I took a vacation for 30 days from my business and went to Patola in the British Virgin Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in the ocean every day for 30 days
Mm.
and said, Divine Mother, whatever it is that keeps me from trusting the flow of love in my life, wash it off of me.
Yes, indeed.
When I returned home, I finished reading the book while I was there. I did pick it back up. But I literally came home, and it did not matter how anybody else showed up.
Yep.
I was walking in the full expression of my truth of who I am as a lover. It was no longer a fight about what somebody deserves or what I deserve.
Mm-hmm.
It became, this is who I am, and I'm not going to let anything outside of me alter who I am and how I choose to love,
Yep.
because they're ignorant emotionally or underdeveloped spiritually,
Yeah.
or has issues physically. I'm going to retain all my power.
Yep.
And when they do something that I don't like, I'm going to let them be the truth of who they are, and I'm going to stand in my truth of who I am and move through that space. It changed my life, and it ushered in Zariel, my daughter, because she was a true love child. We manifested her in a free, open, pure space of divine love because of my decision.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And it just, that story just proves how powerful affirmations are to manifestations, healing. Affirmations directed at healing can be to manifestations and changing our lives, right? Specifically healing old wounds, healing the things that are deep down in us, that we're making decisions, with this veil in front of us, right? And many of us don't even know the veil is there, right? It's such a trauma is such a norm to people. I remember when I took a trauma-based yoga class for people who were on how to teach people who have been victims of trauma yoga. They were doing it. The National Institute of Health was doing a study on how yoga can reshape the subconscious mind and the way a person thinks, and possibly reshape how they react to things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it allowed me to see, from learning that information, it allowed me to understand that there's trauma in every single room, right? And from that space, a lot of people are dealing with stuff, wounds, stuff from way back when. And they're making every decision in their life from this space. But one of the things I want us to understand is that anytime, like, we get two choices with every single decision we make, to either shine a little bit brighter or dim a little bit more. Every single time we step towards our healing, we step towards our conscious mind, we step towards a different reality, we are allowing that light to shine brighter. When we step away from that, when we get into the opposite, like you said, the I deserve or what they deserve, right? We're
There you
dimming
go.
just a little bit more, right? And so I challenge you guys who are watching to think of, what were the last decisions you made about love, not just for other people, but for yourself too, right? And feel
Mm-hmm.
free to put these in the comments. What what was that decision based on? Was it based on what someone else taught you about love? Was it based out of your healing and a new perspective you gained about love, right? And I don't just mean a new perspective from a past situation that you thought you outgrew, but I mean a truly healed perspective on what you now see love as love, right? Because the reality of it is love's all around us. It really is all around us, right? Um, and so when you get an opportunity, I want you to put in the comments what it actually means to you, and
Yeah,
when was the last time you made a decision about loving someone deeper in your life, right? It's so
that's
important.
good. I like that you bring up the point about trauma, because recognizing your traumas is part of your emotional development.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have an awareness of their traumas, but they don't have the skills to know how to process and
Mhm.
recover
Yeah.
from their traumas. But I'm going to tell y'all this, whether you're single, whether you booed up, whether you married, one of the best opportunities to process trauma is through being in love with somebody.
Mhm.
Baby, listen, all your wounds will come up. I tell my clients that your lover is your master teacher,
Yep.
and their job is to reveal where you are still wounded.
Mhm.
They're going to activate all of that. All your insecurities are going to come up, all that. And it's okay. That's their job. That's what they're there to do. But we make
Yep.
the mistake of thinking if you can activate and call all of this up, that must mean you are now responsible for
Mhm.
healing all of this trauma that I hold within me. No, they're mirror. They're your best mirror,
Mhm.
because that depth of intimacy and vulnerability will reveal to you where your wounds are.
Oh yeah.
One of the activities that Harville Hendrix offers in his book, Getting the Love You Want, is allowing somebody else to sit in the space, hold space for you
Mhm.
as the parent that you still have unresolved trauma with,
Mhm.
and to let yourself go back to that point where the trauma was born, and they say to you things that you wish you had heard from your daddy, or you
Yeah.
had heard from your mother, or whoever
Yes.
wounded you. And
Yep.
I actually practiced that. And I practiced it in a very intentional way. Like, me and my mate got butt naked. I don't know if I can tell all of this, Angela, but I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you.
Y'all,
We
y'all,
got,
wait, real quick, y'all. If you grown, put one hand up. If you grown, mean you over 40, put two hands up, right? Put that in the comments, right? Grown for the 30 and under, 40 and up, put those two hands up, right? So we can go there.
yeah, so we did intentional, because what I knew right away, when my soulmates come into my life, whether we are in a committed relationship or not, but they make their presence known, I know I'm about to get some soul work.
Yep.
I know it. So we got butt naked. We put our third eyes together, put our foreheads together, did a meditation, and then I remember him holding me. and me sharing with him where it still hurts. I want to say this, whether it's a romantic relationship, friendship, whatever, how can people know how to care for you,
Mhm.
love on you, hold space for you if you're not even revealing the truth of where you're
Yep.
at and who you are and what's inside of you? You have to find the courage to say, yeah, I still hurt. Yes, I'm still angry. Yes, I got some things inside of me that you're pulling up
Yep.
because you want to love me, and there's a piece of me that's scared of that.
Hmm.
And it's normal to have fear. It's just not healthy to make your decisions according to your fears.
Hmm.
Because we live in a world of polarity, fear will lead you to courage if you don't submit and elevate your fears. If you learn how to be afraid and still move forward, you can get some breakthroughs.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
get love that makes you drip. You can get love that makes you cry. You can get love that makes you call on God. If you will just be okay with where you are in any given moment.
Yeah.
So the other piece of this formula is transparency.
Hmm.
So if you listen and literally type transparency. And I want you to think about, am I transparent or do I present my avatar first? Especially when it comes to qualifying someone to be your lover.
Yep.
Are you transparent or are you presenting your avatar to be loved? Transparency taught me, I made a covenant with myself after my first marriage and going through a divorce and feeling defeated. That was the first time in my life that I felt inadequate.
Hmm.
Going through that divorce, I made a decision that as I recovered from it, that I would be transparent and let people see me in whatever state I found myself in. I literally put an alert on my Outlook calendar to be depressed and go in the corner and suck my thumb if I needed to. I was just going to be who I needed to be. Do you know what happened? Even in my lowest places, because I choose to be seen as I am, love found me.
Yep.
On my worst days, when I thought I was unworthy and undeserving and didn't have nothing together and couldn't comb my hair and my edges are coming out and I'm packing on weight and I'm just going through this experience of depression, people still love me.
Yep.
I didn't go hide. I didn't not be available to receive the love. That's the gift of transparency. That's the gift of
Yeah.
keeping it 100.
Yeah, yeah, and vulnerability. Vulnerability is the one thing we are taught to be so strong. Even right now, in all that's happened politically, everyone wants to exert their power to be strong, stand their ground, right? Be proud of who they are and what they do, and it is just another way to exhibit, like you said, the avatar, right? We almost always instinctively lean into the ability to show this avatar first because we don't want to feel vulnerable. We don't want anyone to take advantage of us, right? It's almost always about, well, what about what I rightfully deserve? And this stuff is rightly placed, but when we're talking about deep soul work, you gotta be naked. Like
You got to be
this.
emotionally naked. Let it all
Listen.
hang out and let somebody see it all and love it. There's somebody that's going to love it. How about you learn to love it? I'm very radical with my self acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very radical with my self acceptance. I love me in all my glory, all my craziness. I tell men straight up when they date me, I'm crazy and deep.
Mm-hmm.
I will take you into the seventh heaven, and depending on how you handle being there, I will send you to hell. It just depends. It just depends. I think we should maybe, Angela, define vulnerability because
Oh,
we hear that word a lot, but what's your definition of it?
yeah. To me, vulnerability is just this openness. Um, Instead of the doing, leaning all the way into just being, right? If that is open, if that is pure, if that is afraid, if that is hopeful, if that is learning to love yourself, trust yourself, show who you really are, right? And people are typically attracted to that, right?
Yeah.
And the reason is because it's almost coveted, right? It's
Mhm.
almost the thing that people are like, I can't have that. It's almost like seduction would be, right? People are
Yes.
always drawn to seduction, and we're going to get into seduction and sexuality and sacred sexuality over these next 7 days. But there's a reason people are always drawn to seduction. That even if it's something that feels so taboo, it pulls you just enough out of your shell to peek and watch that video anyway, right? There
Mhm.
is something about seduction that is so transparent and so raw and so real that people clamor to get to it. And it is because there are not enough people being that vulnerable, right?
Right.
There are not enough people being real, raw, and who they really are. Not enough of them. So
And I
that's
feel
what
like
it means to me, right?
vulnerability is contagious. I feel
Yeah.
like it's contagious because once you got one person in the room willing to let it all hang out, everybody's like, "Oh shoot, let me let it all hang out
It's like
too."
a nude spa. If you've ever gone to a
Yes,
nude spa,
or a new beach. Yes, matter of fact, we need to go. So, my definition of vulnerability is when you know somebody has the ability to hurt you and you give them access to you anyway.
mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes people have this Cinderella idea about relationships. I am very clear that if I'm going into a deep, soul satisfying relationship, there's going to be growth and most likely pain is involved in the growth process, disappointment. I don't run from it anymore. I started developing skills to handle. What do I do when you say something that's triggering for me?
Mm-hmm.
How do I not lose my voice in that moment and still speak my truth
Mm-hmm.
and not treat you like the father I never had
Mm-hmm.
because this moment is reminding me of my past? How do I stay fully present in my body, in my mind, in my spirit, and do this necessary recovery work that this relationship is bringing to me? How do I, handle conflict? I feel like a lot of us sign up for pain because we think we can bob and weave it. But if you on earth, oh, you gonna have some pain. Like it's inevitable. It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
And one of the things my Baba taught me is that pain, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, whatever, it is the fruit of resistance.
Yeah.
So when you feel those different emotions, you feel those different triggers coming up, take a moment, breathe, because breath activates your God presence within, and ask yourself the question, what am I refusing to accept in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
What am I refusing? I'm refusing to accept that no matter how much love I have for this person, they can still have an issue with me. Or I'm refusing to accept that they don't want to see it the way I see it. But if the two of you are the same, one is not needed.
Yep.
You need
Yep.
the contrast. You
Yep.
need the contrast. So yeah, I love your
It's
definition of
good.
vulnerability.
It's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Let's run to the comments really quickly. Valine
Mhm.
says, I always wanted to try a new beach. You should go.
Yes, let me
Or a
know
new
and I'll go
spa.
with you.
They're like everywhere, Valine. You should totally go. Someone else says, this is Captoria. Hey, Captoria, greetings. Thank you for putting
Hey.
your name there. She says she's on break. Oh, Shalita's in class. She's in Legacy. She's in class. She says on break. Yes, people say to me behind the scenes, I love how you speak your mind. Yeah, that's what it's. That's what it's really about. Weeda says we grown. Yes, we are. Yes, we
Yes.
are. Someone else is love and light. Shalita says, hey, ladies, I'm in class. I catch the replay. Okay, great. All right, so you catch the replay. Awesome. So we definitely invite you guys in the chat to tell us, number one, what your definition of vulnerability is, and then number two, what do you feel is the number one thing you can do to make sure that you're caring for yourself at a soul level, right? we know that healing at the soul level almost always takes us back to the source of whatever it was that needed to be healed. So if there's past hurts, there's past traumas, we're naturally going to invite, like people said, like Sama said, people in that are the mirrors of that and that are there to really stretch us and help us grow. Right. So we want to hear from you guys, you know, what vulnerability is for you and what the number one thing is that you can do to help care for your soul before we hop off.
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Amazing. I'm really looking forward to covering some of the other pieces on this journey because I know that with everything that has happened with people being sheltered in place, we are clamoring to bump into each other. We're clamoring to be around each other and share time and space and energy in whatever capacity, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not exactly looking at how this can affect us long term, and how choosing that is helping. It's like a salve to our wounds, right? We're not really doing this healing work. It's really, I'm wounded and I'll take whoever will be there for me. And when in reality, we really want to look deeper and really do the work, right? We just says, Valine, let's go. Y'all going to a new beach. Y'all should. It's
That's what they want to talk about. Look, they don't want to tell us what vulnerability is. Everybody is trying to coordinate a new beach retreat right now. That's what they are doing.
That's hilarious. So, so Tama, before we go, let's pull one more affirmation card. Let's see what comes.
Ooh, yes.
We have
Let's see what else we got going on.
So we're gonna pull one more card, and you guys post in the comments what vulnerability means to you, and what you feel is the number one thing you can do to love yourself at a soul level.
And while I'm shuffling, I want to add in there, after you're clear about your definition, create an action plan. What is one act of vulnerability that I can do before our 7-day experience with you is over? Like, how can you really put this into implementation? Who can you call and tell them something that you've never told anybody else before, that you know cares about you? Or, you know, what have you not said to someone that you love that you need to say? Right now, with the retrogrades of all of these daggone planets, listen, you gonna get this work.
It's what, 6 of them? How many of them?
Like 6 planets: Mercury, Venus, Pluto. I'm like, God, universe, do you love me or not? So this is the perfect time to look at the shadows, to look at the suppressed things, to feel it, to not just be aware of it. I'm pushing you. I need you to also feel what you have tucked away, and then make some actions. And so the card that I pulled ironically says, I am open. I am open. Girl, this is gonna make you laugh. It says, vulnerability is my strength, not my weakness. I can't make this up. My openness attracts those who are beneficial to my highest good. When I lean into my feelings, I am honoring my truth. When I communicate my feelings in a loving way, I am speaking my truth. I am open. That was divine. I am open. I hope you got what you needed. Those of you who are with us and those of you who will catch the replay. And if you did, put that in the comments so that we can continue to hold space for the things you're working on this journey with us, because that's why we're here.
Captoria says, vulnerability to me is stretching from your comfort zone to share your truth in spite of fear. Very good, Captoria.
Yeah, that's a good definition.
Shalita says, my vulnerability is being myself and not caring how people perceive me. I'll even take off my wig.
Live your best life. Yes. 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 I love that.
It says, thank you. I am open. So listen, you guys, we're going to hop off. If you have any more questions or if you need any more clarity on anything, put it in the comments here below. She says it learn to just be me or free. That's your definition. Okay. Someone else says be vulnerable to me is being okay with what others think. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Oh, that's good. Because now we're talking about interconnectedness.
Mm-hmm.
You get to hold your truth and I get to hold mine. That's good.
And I'm okay with that. And
Yeah.
this one of the things I have learned is that I taught my son that at a very early age. Like you are you, they are them, and you get to decide who and what and how you want to be, and
Mm-hmm.
they get to do the same thing. And there should be no judgment either way. And so he has grown up in the space of, if someone says, "Hey, you want to do this?" or if you don't do this, you're not cool. He's like, so
Okay, that's your version of cool. That's not my definition, that's yours. That's key because that's foundational to how we manage conflict.
Mm-hmm.
If you need somebody to think like you, see it like you, agree with you, you're going to have challenges when it's time to be confrontational.
Absolutely.
And resolve things because you're going to want everybody in your space to think like you, and that gives you a disadvantage. I
Mm-hmm.
need people with a different mind, a different perspective, because that helps me with my emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
but if we are all the same, then there's going to be limited progress and growth.
Yeah. Limited.
So
Yep.
that's
Sure.
good.
That's good. Yeah. Someone else says being myself, but I need to listen more. Yes. Yes. Okay.
That's a good
Um,
point of recognition. Yeah, that's good.
yeah. Awesome sauce. All right, you guys. So we're gonna hop off.
Love you.
Yeah, right. So before we hop off, you guys, make sure you send love and light to someone in the comments, right?
Mhm.
Just to seal in your time here with them. Anytime we share space like this, we want to make sure that we're sending love to the other people who are here with us, right? So choose someone you do not know and send them love and light in the comments. Have any other questions about anything? Make sure you put it below this video because we will engage and interact with the comments, you guys. Tama, anything else you want to say before we hop off?
No, I just love y'all, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm glad that you're open to receive it. Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. Love and light, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.
Peace.